Yes, கொஞ்சம்
audio and video correct இருக்கா?
Memory. An endowment was instituted in our research institute 3 decades ago. Under this endowment, every year we have been conducting recitation competition in different slokas for school children in and around Chennai. We used to give or prescribe portions from Valmiki Ramayana, Raghuvamsa, Kumarasambhava, Kirarthajuniyam, or Mukunda Mala, Aditya Hridayam, Shivananda Lahari, Saundarya Lahari, Lalita Sahasranamam, like this. So every year we give the options to the students, and the students come out with very good performance, come and recite in our research institute, and the prizes will be distributed separately under another event when a lecture would be conducted under this endowment. Originally, different schools of Vedanta were selected as topics for giving lectures under this endowment, and we started with Advaita, Visishtadvaita, Dvaita, and then the schools of Bhaskara, Nimbarka, and then Shuddhadvaita of Vallabha, and then Achintya Beda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like that. And then slowly we could not find scholars on different schools of Vedanta, including Shivadvaita, and it was restricted to Advaita, Visishtadvaita, and Dvaita. And later on we shifted to some other interesting topics on the scientific aspects of Valmiki Ramayana, things like that. And this year we have chosen the topic of another great mystic, philosopher, yogi, Advaitin, Sri Sadashiva Brahmendra, who did not live long before the present times. And originally the lecture was to be given by Dr. Venugopal, professor of Sanskrit in the Jayendra Saraswati Ayurveda College in Nazaratpet near Chennai. It is a part of the Kanchi Shankaracharya University, Sri Chandrasekharendra Vishwa Mahavidyalaya of Inatur. And unfortunately, Sri Ramagopalan, the founder of Hindu Front in Tamil Nadu, passed away few days ago, and he did not marry, and Venugopalan happens to be his nephew, and he has to perform all the rites of his uncle. Therefore, just 2 days before, he expressed his inability to give this lecture. In fact, the topic was chosen by him, and we could depend on only one person. Day before yesterday only I requested Dr. Srinivasan, and he readily accepted to talk on this topic. And Dr. Srinivasan, as most of us know, we can depend on him anytime on any subject. And he readily accepted to give this lecture. We are indeed thankful to you, sir. Dr. Srinivasan was my senior in the school, and I know him for more than, let us say, 45 years now. And I was his student in the Vivekananda College, myself and Dr. Vasudeva, who is also Deputy Director in our institute. And Dr. Srinivasan did his PhD in Advaita, but he is a master in all the schools of Astika and Nastika, systems of Indian philosophy, Western philosophy, language, literature, grammar, name it. So we always consult Dr. Srinivasan whenever we have any clarifications in our research, whether it pertains to the PhD of our scholars or editing of some manuscripts or publication of some books. And presently, Professor Srinivasan is honorary professor in our research institute, occupying the Anna Subramaniam chair for Veda and Vedanta, and he has given recently lectures under the same endowment, and it is our privilege to have Professor Srinivasan with us. He was the head of the Department of Sanskrit as well as principal of Vivekananda College, and he has studied both from modern perspective as well as the traditional method of Sanskrit learning under great stalwarts like Barahur Kalyana Sundara Sastrigal, K. Balasubramanya Sastrigal, E. Balasubramanya Sastrigal, and other great stalwarts. So he combines in himself the modern acumen as well as the traditional depth of scholarship in Sanskrit. And with these few words, I welcome Professor Srinivasan for giving his lecture under this R. Narasimhachari endowment today. Once again, I thank you, sir, for readily accepting. We are sorry that we approached you at the last moment. But anyway, knowing you very well, and we could not have found another person to give this lecture. So we are indeed thankful to you, sir. And I welcome all of you for this lecture this evening. And now I hand over the platform to Professor Srinivasan. He would be talking to us on the life and works of the great stalwart Sadashiva Brahmendra. So over to Professor Srinivasan.
Thank you, Mr. Balasubramanian, and thank you all. Friends, I'm not able to say what should I say now, whether I am happy or not happy. Let me start straight away anyway. So it is the work on Sadasiva Brahmendra. We all know that he is a student of Paramasivendra Saraswati, the 57th head of Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham, whose Adhisthana is there in Tiruvengadu. Before proceeding further, a few details about the life of Sadasiva Brahmendra that also is known. Some details are known. His father is Somasundara Avadhani. He is a Telugu Brahmin. His father is Somasundara Avadhani, and the Nerur Adhisthana trustees, they give it as Moksha Somasundara Avadhani. Moksha may be the family name of his Purvasrama, and the name of mother is Parvati. In Vivekananda College, we conducted a seminar on a topic, the golden age of Sanskrit. That is, during the 15th, 16th century and following it, there were so many scholars here and so many books have been produced that many of them are original. In fact, in the Siddhanta Bindu, when Madhusudana Saraswati writes, Vedanta Shastra Sravanalasanam, there is people who are not very capable of proceeding with Vedanta. That is, when they are not able to read the original text of Vedanta, for them to get an idea of Vedanta, he is writing Siddhanta Bindu. It is a commentary on Dasasloki, and here the Vedanta is written as the Sutras of Vyasa, Bhashya thereon by Shankara, Bhamati, Kalpataru, Parimala. That is, Appaya Dikshitasya Parimalanto Grantaha Vedantaha. Vedanta is generally considered to be commencing from Sutra to Parimala. It is called Bhamati Panchagranthi, the 5 Granthas pertaining to the Bhamati school. These are considered to be the basic and fundamental text of Vedanta, and one who is studying Vedanta or conversant Vedanta is supposed to know all the 5 works. And those who are not able to enter into these 5 works and read them, for them, Madhusudana Saraswati says he is writing his Siddhanta Bindu. Then you can understand. And there is another, what is called statement also. Gaudadi Gaudantam, Dravidadi Dravidantam. That is, the original works of Vedanta are considered to be Gaudadi Gaudantam. That is, starting from Gaudapada. Gaudapada Karika is a highly polemical and dialectical work. And starting with this, Gauda Brahmananda Saraswati, who has written his Lagushandrika on Advaita Siddhi. So, these two Gaudas, Gaudapada and Gauda Brahmananda Saraswati, between these two Gaudas, all the original polemical works are there, and Dravidadi Dravidantam, that is Adhikarana works, are on the what is called the original side, on the developmental side or on the factual side. that is argumentative side. On the factual side, you find Dravidadi Dravidantam starting with the Dravidacharya, that is, it is considered to be Adi Shankara Bhagavad and with Apai Dikshita. So from these two books, these two stalwarts, Adi Shankara and Apai Dikshita, is considered to be the works of Adhikarana Prastavali, and Gauda to Gauda is Vada Prasthana. So these two are, now we can understand the place of Apai Dikshita, and Apai Dikshita's father-in-law is Ratnaketa Srinivasa Dikshita, Venkatamaki, Govinda Dikshita, and so many people are there in that particular line. So you find the Tamil Nadu, the entire south, in fact, even in Kerala, there are lots of scholars on Mimamsa. Many of the Mimamsa manuscripts are there in Kerala. So lots of scholars in the South India. That area is considered to be, that period also is considered to be what is called replete with so much of development and other things. So hence it is considered to be golden age of Sanskrit. And it is also, many seminars have been conducted on that particular period, like the advent of the knowledge of Sanskrit before the advent of British and things like that. And to that period belongs some other scholars also. And that happened to be here. Paramasivendra, that is Sadasivendra Saraswati, and then Abhinava Narayanendra Saraswati, Paramasivendra Saraswati, like that. They were the lineage of scholars in the Kamakoti line. Sadasivendra Saraswati, who is the 56th of the Pontiff, and this Sadasivendra Saraswati wrote Atmanatma Viveka, an original work, and for this work Sadasiva Brahmam has written a commentary. There he has written Asmad Paramaguru Sadasivendra Saraswati Krite Atmanatma Viveka Prakashika Ke Grante, like that. And his disciple is Paramasivendra Saraswati, who became 57th. Sadasivendra Saraswati's Adhisthana is there in Rameswaram, and Paramasivendra Saraswati, his Adhisthana is there in Tiruvangadu. And then even now, they are what is called conducting Aradhanas and all those things. There are some people who claim themselves to be descendants of Paramasivendra's Purvasrama and disciples, and they are conducting the Aradhana there. And Paramasivendra Saraswati has written two works. One work is Dahara Vidya Prakashika. Dahara Vidya is considered to be a very important, in fact, it is also considered to be a Nirguna Upasana, not only a Saguna Upasana. Dahara Vidya Chidambaram is considered to be Daharapuram, and Nataraja Sannidhi and all those things are considered to be, this Dahara Vidya is espousing the Chidambaram temple and the Chidambaram Nataraja worship and all those things. In about 30 verses or so, Paramasivendra Saraswati has written this Dahara Vidya Prakashika, which has been published from Balamanorama. Dahara Vidya is essentially from Dakram Pundarikam Veshma. It is speaking about the space within the heart, and from Chandogya Upanishad, it is from Samaveda. And this particular, that is the 8th Adhyaya of Chandogya. And this Dahara Vidya Prakashika has been published from Balamanorama. That is the famous people who have published the Siddhanta Kaumudi, that Balamanorama Press of Mylapore. And he has also written another book, Vedanta Namaratna Sakasra Vyakhya. That is, all the names which were, all the words which were referring to Upanishads, he has collected those names, and then with those names he has written, he has compiled a Sahasranama, and in that Sahasranama he has written Vyakhya. And this particular Vyakhya has got lots and lots of meanings for Pranava and other things. So he has written lots and lots of words for the Pranava and other words. That has become a very famous book that also is published from GOML. And this Paramasivendra Saraswati's disciple is Sadasiva Brahmendra Saraswati, the famous Sadasivendra Brahmendra Saraswati. There are number of hearsay accounts, or the what is called the popular accounts, or the folk tale accounts, etc. One such interesting account is he cannot stand what is called fasting. That is, Sadasiva in his Purvasrama, his name was Sivaramakrishna. He cannot starve. He wants food in the very early in the day. He cannot wait till regular anushtanas, etc. to be over. So his mother, understanding the nature of her boy, she used to offer food. And as happened, as is wont in those days, this is also on account. But we do not know, these are all the accounts which are popular among the people. and he got married. He was not he got married. He was married early, and he was not very much aware of all those things. The marriage was taken when he was very young boy, and he had been to his school. And when he was returning, the girl was brought to home. And that day, being what is called since she was brought to home, the food is getting delayed. And as usual, he immediately wanted, "Mother, give me food." But his mother said, "No, you have to wait. You have to." And in Tamil said, "Angaye iru." Something like that. That is, stay there at the door. It will take some time for food today. It may not be so easy and it may not be quick. That struck, "Stay there." That word struck his mind. If this is, that is, even if in the first day, hello,
Sir, you're audible, sir. Sorry, somebody is sharing his screen.
okay,
Hmm.
okay. When
Yes.
suddenly, when he heard, even if on the first day of the marriage, that is when the lady has been brought, that is when his wife has been brought, he has to stay and he has to give up his way of life. He has to change the way of life. Then what is going to happen further if he were to remain in that house? Immediately he turned back and then he went away. That became the time for his taking to sannyasa. And this is how it said for sannyasa, etc. It is said the sannyasa is not people waiting, cogitating, thinking over, brooding over, should I take or can I take, to be or not to be. That there is no Hamletian dilemma there. When a person is ready, when his mind is ready, it just requires some trigger, and the trigger can be anything and everything, and within the trigger they get out of it. And Sivaram Krishnan also got out of the house, and he straight went to his teacher, that is Paramasivendra Saraswati. He was staying with him in the Purvasrama, and again later also when he was studying the extra subjects, the classmates happened to be Sridhara Ayyawad, the famous person who wrote Akyasishti and who brought, that is, the Ganges in the Tiruvirusanlu, in the well of his house. He is able to make Ganges flow from the well. That is, it happened on Kartika Amavasya. And another one is Mahabhashyam Gopalakrishna Sastri. These are all the people said to be his Satirthyas. And Ramabhadra Dikshita also, who has written the book Patanjali Charitam and other things. Many of the a great grammarian. All those people are said to be his contemporaries. And Paramasivendra Saraswati was a great yogi, and Sivaram Krishnan joined him to study yogic practices, to learn yogic practices and Vedanta Vichara. He is such a great scholar that he used to enter into debate with all the people who regularly visit Mutt for the blessings of the Guru Acharya. He used to enter into debate, and the debate also, because he is so confident of his knowledge and all those things, the debate also was louder. And because there is no inferiority complex or no fear of getting defeated and all those things. Once when Paramasiva was, Swamiji was doing puja, and what is called, when he was about to enter the puja, and the arguments also louder, then Swamiji came out. Then he told him, "Can you not keep quiet?" Just only, that is another trigger. Then Sivaram Krishnan, he became a great Mauni, Maha Mauni from that time onwards. He never opened his mouth. So he became a Mauni and never entered into debates or anything like that. That was the trigger. He became a Maha Mauni. And then he took to sannyasa, but he has become a realized soul, more or less. Or why more or less? He has become a realized soul, and he is behaving, moving as if he is mad. Then, as usual, the disciples found it difficult whether if such a madman is moving around, saying as the disciple of Swamiji, whether what other people will take, how other people will behave, will they be able to come to the Mutt freely? And then they complained to Swamiji that this Sadasivendra is moving like a madcap. Then Acharya seems to have explained, Unmattata me nahita drisi. Say, how I were to be a madman like that. I have not become such a madcap. That is, he has become a realized soul and he is free, but I am now bound with all these things, all these responsibilities, etc. That is, the teacher is able to realize, the teacher is able to know the realized nature of his disciple Sadasivendra, and Sadasivendra, with the permission of the teacher, started moving around everywhere. Because now, being a realized soul, not that he felt it is his job, but the soul inside him made him move so that he will be able to help everybody. But he was not conscious of his body. There is one story when he was moving about. He is an Atyasrami and Ativarnasrami and Avaduta. Some of the ideas are there in his songs, and he is moving about like that. Then a king saw him moving about, and then without knowing it, he entered into the Zanana. And how did he enter? I mean, just like that, he entered. Nothing is known. He also knows not anything. And the king got angry. And then king started stopping him and all those things. He did not, hear at all. Nothing fell into his ears. And the king threw his sword. And the sword, what is called, touched his hand. That is, it hit his hand. And the hand got cut. But Sadasivendra was not aware of. His hand got cut and then the blood is oozing out. Then the king realized he has hit some great soul, and then he went and fell at his feet, and then he, what is called, apologized. But Sadasiva was not aware of anything. What happened? He asked him, "Sir, I have cut your hand." Okay, let it be. It might have done some mistake. So as a punishment, it experienced that punishment. Okay, he started leaving. No, you have to, what is called, get your hand back, like that. Then bring that hand. Then it was put there, and then he just, what is called, wiped it, and then the hand got used, attached to use as usual. In this way, he was started moving, and then he used to play with the children very often, and the children he used to take them. That is in the Kaveri, that is in the Kaveri Belta. He took children. The children once expressed a desire to see the festival at Madurai. He asked all the people to, what is called, sit on his shoulders and hands. The next moment they were at Madurai, they experienced and enjoyed the festival, and then he brought him back, like that. These are some of the stories, because these stories become important. And he used to play another way also. He used to bury himself in Kaveri sand. And after some time, he used to get up, sometimes after 2 or 3 days, like that. So the children also were enjoying it, that sports. And once he got buried himself like that, but he never got up. And then when the elders in the people, village, etc., they started inquiring, then the children told, then they realized when they, what is called, dug that area, he was not to be seen. He just, what is called, he came out from the Kaveri sands in the place of Nehru. It is one story. And then he visited Pudukkottai also, and Vijay Raghunatha Tondaiman, the Pudukkottai king, when he wanted, because now he is a Mauni, the Pudukkottai Tondaiman asked for Upadesa, and he took some sand. In that sand, he wrote the mantra, and the mantra was written, and then he gave it as Upadesa, and that sand is still being worshipped in the Pudukkottai palace, it is said. And from that day onwards, a great sadas is being held in Pudukkottai. There are a number of sadas being held, 2 sadas, that is, it is called Trimata Sadas. That is, all the Advaita, Visishta, Advaita, Dvaita, all the 3 scholars used to assemble. And then other people also, other people from other works of Shastras also used to join. And 2 sadas are considered to be such a common sadas. One is Pudukkottai Sadas and another one is Mannargudi Sadas. These 2 sadas are considered to be what is called a common platform for all the people. And the Pudukkottai Sadas was commenced from that particular day. And then there is a great festival, Navaratri Utsavam and all those things. This is how. So in this sort of play, that is when he is what is called burying himself in the Kaveri sand, getting etc. In one such incident, he did not get up, and he got up in Nerur, and the Nerur sand also he entered into Samadhi. So his Samadhi is there very famously in Nerur, but at the same time, people also claim that he entered into Samadhi in Pudukkottai also, in Manamadurai also. So thus his Samadhi is considered to be in Pudukkottai, Manamadurai and Nerur, But the Nerur Samadhi is very famous, which is known for all the people. The other two, maybe these are all very great yogic people, and in order to exhaust the prarabdha, in fact, exhausting the prarabdha, he refers to in the Atma Vidya Vilasa in the 63rd verse. That is, he has exhausted his prarabdha. That is, in the Atma Vidya Vilasa, क्षयम उपनीय समस्तं कर्म प्रारब्धम उपभुज्य प्रविकलित देहबंधः प्राज्ञो ब्रह्मैव केवलं भवति. In some of these verses, it is said it is the indicative of autobiographical nature, that is his life history. Kshayam upaniya samastam karma prarabdham upabhujya. That is having destroyed all the karma, that is agami and sanchita, and having exhausted the prarabdha karma, having enjoyed the prarabdha karma, the jnani becomes kevalaha. That is, jnani becomes alone. He is just the kevala atma, nothing else, nothing binds him like that. So, in this way, because in order to exhaust the prarabdha karma, he is might have taken a kaya vyuha and might have shed his mortal coil in 3 places, but the Nerur is the famous one. This is how the story is full of great mystery and mysticism, and then the magic. It remains everything, but he's studying with other people. The references are there, and his disciple is Atma Bodhendra Saraswati, who is supposed to have written one commentary Sushama on the Guru Ratna Malika of his Guru Sadasivendra, and his disciple is Bhagavan Nama Bodhendra, the person who is entered to have Jiva Samadhi in the Govindapuram, and who is very famous for what is called spreading the art of Nama Sankirtanam. Even now, the Bhajan Sampradayas, what is called before commencing in the Todaya Mangalam, they recite what is called Bodhendram, Bodhendram, Bhagavan Nama Bodhendram. That is, the Bodhendra's Kirtanas are being sung, and Bodhendra also is saluted. So we find in this particular way, and from Kamakoti Kosasthanam, a few editions of Sadasiva Brahmendra's works have been brought out, and 3 are together. They have been recently republished by Sadasiva Brahmendra Trust, and they are Sivamanasa Puja, Atma Vidya Vilasa, and nearly 23 Kirtanas as of Sadasiva Brahmendra. And the second edition of that particular work has got a foreword by T.M. Krishnaswamy Iyer, who is also called Thirupugal Mani, who was the chief judge in the Travancore Samsthanam in the 1944. He has written in his foreword, he thinks Nataraja's dance, the words, the whole stage, and the devotees' Pancha-Indriyas, and the works of the great poets are all the stage, the dancers, and the dance of Nataraja. Nataraja's dance is not anything, a separate performance in a separate stage by an individual artist, but the great works of the great poets, the great works of the great scholars, these are all the dance of Nataraja, and also the Pancha-Indriyas of the great devotees, because they are concentrating on Nataraja, seeing everything as the manifestation of the Lord. He writes, the dancer, the dance, and the stage seem to get into one unified harmony in the words of Sri Sadasiva Brahmendra. As Sri Sadasiva transcended the limitations of his body in the realization of the Absolute, his realizations have transcended the limitations of the spoken word and the meaning of the sense of the sounds. Thus, the works of Sadasiva is the dance of Nataraja. This is how Thirupugal Mani has just what is called presented Sadasiva's works, and we can't have yet greater tribute. They are the Nataraja's dance for us. And now, he studied in the area called Tiruvachanallur, which was also a very famous place, and he has described Atmajnani's characteristic in the work of Atma Vidya Vilasa, and I take up some of the Kirtanas of Sadasiva Brahmendra in this work, because there are very few works. I mean, he has written nearly more than about 15 works or so. And the two famous works are, that is Brahma Tattva Prakashika. Brahma Tattva Prakashika is the commentary on Brahma Sutra. In this Brahma Sutra commentary, he does not deal into or does not go into various discussion point of it. As Sankshepa Saririka is restricted to Nirguna portions of Brahma Tattva Brahma Sutra, leaving out Saguna discussions, so also Sadasiva Brahmendra deals with Nirguna portion, that is the main essential discussions, and other what is called ideas or argumentative portions, etc. he has left out. Maybe the words of his teacher Paramasivendra might have worked with him, and then he might have presented only those portions that are very much required for developing or concentrating on the meditative aspect of Brahmajnana. Hence he might have developed. But it is very simple, giving us a cogent continuous thread. So leaving out all the discussion to get the essential ideas of the Brahma Sutra, it will be easy. That gives the Sangatis also very much. Pada Sangati, Adhyaya Sangati and Sutra Sangati. These Sangatis are very much presented. So the Sutra means thread. As Sutra, a thread is connecting the rosary beads, everything is connected. The Sutra may be visible in the gaps of the rosary beads only. Within the beads, it may not be visible. Like that, Sadasivendra also has presented Brahma Sutra as a real sutra connecting the beads, the gems of the ideas presented in the sutra. That's how Brahma Sutra Prakashika is taken. And then there is another one, Siddhanta Kalpavalli. Siddhanta Kalpavalli also is essentially, it is what is called the epitome of Siddhanta Lesha Sangraha. Advaita is a different take altogether. So Sureswaracharya presents what is Advaita. He presents in his Vartika. Sureswara has written two Vartikas, that is on Taittiriya and Brihadaranyaka. While elaborating while introducing the Brihadaranya Vartika, he writes this, a famous oft-quoted verse: Yaya yaya bhavet pumsam vyutpattif pratyagatmani sa saiva pratriya cheha sadhvi sacha anavasthita. That is, Advaita philosophy has got a certain difference with other systems of philosophy. All the other systems of philosophy, they present the sadhana, that is how to get moksha, how to realize the ultimate truth. And the realization of the truth happens in the other world after shedding the body. The realization of the truth does not happen here and now. It happens elsewhere and after. As long as the body is there, the man is bound by the body in this world. So the body is a taboo and body is an obstacle. So it can happen after shedding the body only. But Advaita, even while body is there, the realization is possible even in the embodied state. That's why it is called the state of Jivan Mukti. Many other systems, they don't subscribe to the concept of Jivan Mukti at all. And now what happens, since the Jivan Mukti is possible, that realization is possible, it is like understanding. It is like a classroom study. A teacher presents a subject to a particular student, a class of students, group of students, and then it happens, the students may be able to listen, and some of them may be able to understand in the first instant, the second instance, third instance, like that. Ekasandagrahi, Visandagrahi, like that. There may be people who may require different, many times the idea has to be presented with the different examples, with the different explanations, there may be. But the teacher has to present for each and every student according to his need, according to his ability. But now what happens? Advaita also is like that, because that is the Advaitic sadhakas have to realize the truth here and now. They have to realize their own person, their own self as the ultimate truth. It is not the ultimate truth sitting somewhere else staring at us. So it is we who happen to be the ultimate truth, and we have to realize our the nature of being ultimate truth, and that too here and now. Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati, Atra Brahma Samasnute, like that. That is, the Brahman is realized now. One who realizes the Brahman, he alone becomes the ultimate truth. All these things are there. And how can it be? Because Understanding the truth is not exactly the same thing. Understanding the truth may require different ways of presentation according to the abilities of the listener. So now Sureshwara says, Yaya Yaya Bhave Tumsam Vyutpatti Pratyagatmani. Whatever may be the way a student will be, a sadhaka will be able to get the realization, that is the ultimate way for him. There is no one single way or one single path for all. The path is as varied and as many as there are sadhakas. So sa saiva prakriya, that is the actual prakriya, that is the actual methodology, and sadhvi, that is correct. There is absolutely no problem that one way is right, one way is wrong, my way is right, your way is wrong, etc. It all depends on the individual's ability and the way, whatever suits that particular individual, it is the correct way, and that should not be questioned. Sa saiva prakriya sadhvi, that is the correct prakriya, anavasthita, and it is countless, endless. So there are as many ways as there are possible. And now what happened? Because of this acceptability of different ways, there are so many viewpoints. Say whether avidya is one or many, whether maya is one or many, whether avidya and maya are one and the same, or avidya and maya are two different things. Is it drishti srishti or srishti drishti? Whether something is created when we see it, or already whether we see something already which are created and existing, like that. So there are so many viewpoints, whether Brahman is the locus and content of avidya, or whether Jiva is the locus of avidya and Brahman is the content. In this way, they will call the Bhamati Paksha, Vivarana Paksha, and Vartikakara Paksha. And there are other Pakshas also, that is Prakashananda, Muktavali Kara Paksha, Tattva-Suddhi, Jnanaganapa. Like that, so many people, each one is free to entertain his own view. Shankara has given only an outline sketch, and it is for the every individual to fill the outline sketch with a color, or develop, or what is called present the painting, and whatever suits him, whatever way he can develop. So many paintings are possible. And now some people, on seeing such an array of what is called views, people may get confused how each one is related. Should we take all the views and reconcile them, or can we take an individual view? We require something together, all the view. Some people have come out. In fact, Madhusudana Saraswati and Appaya Dikshita, both of them have come out giving all the views. Madhusudana Saraswati has written one work called Prasthana Veda, and Appaya Dikshita has come out a work called Siddhanta Lesa Sangraha. That is Siddhanta, Advaitic tenets, Lesa, their viewpoints, Sangraha collection. That is, he has given a compendium of different ideas and tenets that are available in the Advaita. And it is one of the greatest research works that is possible. That is, he has not given in a chronological way. He has collected all the views and then presented to the best possible. That is, whatever way he considers as the best. That is, he gives them in the way of evolution. Say each one he takes, each view he takes, there he presents the views of all the people, and then he presents the views slowly in a chronological, not chronologically, in an evolution, in an ascending order. That is ordinary view, and then slightly better view, next better, still better, like that, in his own view. But it is not the best finally. The reason being, the best view is according to one's own nature and one's own sadhana. So that is the best thing. But he thinks for the sake of understanding or for the sake of presentation, whatever. So these problems are discussed beautifully by Achyuta Krishnananda Tirtha in his commentary on Siddhanta Lesa Sangraha. And our Sadasiva Brahmendra again has written one further Sangraha. He has still what is called summarized this particular Siddhanta Lesa Sangraha, and he presented. Say, for example, if you take the first view, first theory is what is the instrument for knowledge? That is Srotavyaha. That is the injunction, Srotavyaha. One has to hear Brahman. That is, Upanishad has to be studied. Upanishad has to be studied is given as Srotavya, because Upanishads, etc., being a Veda, they have to be heard from the teacher. Hence, one has to hear Srotavya. And now, what is the meaning of this Tavya? Tavya is an injunctive suffix. Ling, lot, late, Tavya, Pratyaya, as they say. whether the injunctive suffix means what sort of injunction is this? Is apurva vidhi or niyama vidhi or parisankhya vidhi or no vidhi at all? There are 4 viewpoints. So apurva vidhi and parisankhya vidhi. There are some people who subscribe to that Shrotavyaha is apurva vidhi because we do not know that is Veda has to be studied. So it must be apurva vidhi. And somebody say Veda, that is Veda also is one of the what is called subjects, like so many subjects. So since there are so many subjects, we may study any one, but to the exclusion of other subjects, Veda must be studied. So other things should not be studied. Veda alone is to be studied. So some people say Parisankhya Vidhi. And then there is Niyama Vidhi. Within the Niyama Vidhi, there are 9 possible variants, derivatives. And there is still another view, it is no Vidhi at all. When a person develops the Sadhana Chatushtayi Sampatti, automatically it develops a sense to study Veda for the sake of his spiritual realization. It happens. So there is no Vidhi and Vidhi is not possible. So there are 4 viewpoints. Vidhi is not possible is Bhamati Karapaksha, that is presented as the Siddhanta by Apai Dikshita in his Siddhanta Sangraha. That is the final view. So the first 3, that is Apurva Vidhi, Niyama Vidhi, Parisankhya Vidhi are presented earlier. Apurva Vidhi and Parisankhya Vidhi are presented in one verse like that. And Niyama Vidhi has got 9 variants. Of these 9 variants, 5 variants are considered to be some smaller minor variants, not very relevant, but people have come out with such interpretation. So Sadasiva Brahmendra, because Apurva Vidhi and Parisankhya Vidhi are not very popular, he has dismissed them in one verse. He has summarized them in verse form, dismissed them in one verse, and given Niyama Vidhi in about 4 or 5 verses, because Vivaranakara also subscribed to Niyama Vidhi. And then other Niyama Vidhis he has not taken up. He has given, among the 9 variants, he has given 5 only. And then finally, that is Bhamati Kara's no Vidhi Paksha also. This is how his thinks. That is how he presents this particular the Siddhanta Sangraha's compendium. And this has been beautifully presented by Mr. N. Raghunathan, who has summarized Ramayana, who have worked sometime in what is called Hindu also. He has written on Sadasiva Brahmendra, and he has written about this Siddhanta Sangraha compendium, Siddhanta Kalpavalli. And Sadasiva Brahmendra has written a commentary, Kesaravalli, on Siddhanta Sangraha. So these are the and Kesaravalli on it, and then Brahma Tattva Prakasika. These 2 are the important works. And Atma Vidya Vilasa. Atma Vidya Vilasa has been published by Vani Vilas. Again, it has been translated beautifully by Vidyanandagiri, and it has been published by Jnanananda Niketan from Tirukovilu. And Atmanatma Prakasika, Atmanatma Viveka Prakasika, it is again a commentary on his Paramaguru. And then, of course, he has written many works. Kaivalyopanishad Deepika, Atmanusandhanam, Nayamani Mala, and he has written a commentary Tatparya Deepika on Manisha Panchakam, and also he has written Swanubhuti Prakasika. Besides, very famous work is Yoga Sudhakara, which is again a commentary on Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. This also is an equally important work because he went to Paramasivendra to get the yogic practice, to learn yogic practice also, and then he writes Siva Yoga Deepika, Gita Ratna Malika, Siva Manasa Puja, and like that, many works he has written, Mahavakyartha Sodhanam, and there are doubts also whether some of the works whether written by him or written by others and things like that. Lalladhvari is supposed to be his disciple. Okay, and he has written many Kirtanas. When you look at Taittiriya Upanishad, in the 3rd chapter, that is in the 3rd chapter is called Bhriguvalli, where Bhrigu approaches his father Varuna for Brahmajnana, and Varuna says the Brahman has to be realized, it is not to be learnt as an instruction, because Brahman is not a subject which can be taught. So he gives the definition of Brahman, Yato va imani bhutani jayante yana jatani jivanti yat prayinte pisamvisanti tad vijñāsasva tad brahmeti. So you think over it. What is the ultimate cause of the world? So Bhrigu thinks over and finally comes to the conclusion that Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat and all those things. And finally, the nature of realized soul, how the realized soul should conduct himself. But even if he is a realized soul, there are certain responsibilities and things like that. That is being presented. And finally, the nature of the realized soul is presented. எங்க வாத்தியார் சொல்லும்போது சொல்லுவார், அவன் கியால் பாடின்னு இருப்பான் அப்படின்னு. அந்த மாதிரி ஏதத் சாமகாயன் நாஸ்தே ஹா புஹா புஹாவு இதமன் அகமன்னம் 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 அகமன்னாதோஹம், like that. So the last portion of Taittiriya Upanishad is a certain sama, and this sama refers to what is called the realized soul moving about freely, singing. So when a person is moving about freely, when a person feels, I am freed, I am no longer bound, all my jobs are done, krita kritya, there is nothing to be done by me, there is no responsibility still on me. So when he thinks like that, that person, his jolliness is presented in the form of his singing a few songs, or he's singing always humming. So that sort of humming is presented. This you can find even in the Kaivalya Navanitam. In the Kaivalya Navanitam, Arana Desigar, Nandilam Narayana Desigar is the guru, and a person approaches him, and then the teacher gives him instruction, and the person follows strictly. His name is Purvasarama name, according to one version, his name is Arunachalam, and he just strictly follows. He follows all the rigors of sadhana, and finally he becomes realized. He is Thiruvannamalai. He goes to Thiruvannamalai. There he meets his teacher and then gets. And after the realization, etc., he writes a book, Kaivalya Navanitam. And in that Kaivalya Navanitam consists of two sections, Sandehandalidhar Padalam and Tattvadeepa Padalam 2. And in the second Padalam, towards the end, he expresses his feeling, I have become realized. Now with the Arana Desikan Arulal, that is with the what is called that is with the grace of my teacher Arana Desikan Arulal, அறிவில் ஞான் அறிவை அடைந்து விட்டேனே, that is I have realized myself, அறிவை அடைந்து என் உத்தரியத்தை உயரே எரிந்து ஆடுகின்றேனே, I am now dancing, I have become freed, I am now dancing, I am what is called throwing my upper garment up in the air. You can just, it remains to me when the what is called the final parade, when the convocation parade is open, and when the what is called the declared, that is the course is declared, the cadets, the army cadets throwing up their hats in the air and then jumping in joy, like that. The sadhaka also throwing his upper garment in the air and jumping in the joy, that I have become realized, I have become freed from the bondage of the world, etc. And because Tandavam Adugindrane, he says, Tandavam Adugindrane, from that he became Tandavaraya Swamigal, like that. And equally, our Sadasiva Brahmendra also, when he has become a realized soul, he also was jumping in joy and dancing, but now we do not know much about his dance, but we know at least many of the kirtanas are there, and the kirtanas are being sung very much in many of the concert formats, because they become simpler and easier for the novices to take up. And now we can find these kirtanas are not only easier for the novices of the musicians, but for others also. These kirtanas help us as a manana and nididhyasana form of format. They help us very much when the kirtanas are sung, when we are going on repeating and when we are going on thinking, they become nididhyasana, manana and nididhyasana format. They help perform manana and nididhyasana. For lecture, let us take just a few kirtanas. Kelati Pindande, this is one kirtana, and here the first kanni or the charanam goes, Hamsasoham, Hamsasoham, Hamsasoham Sohamiti, Paramatmaham Paripurnoham, Brahmaivaham Maham Brahmeti, Hamsasoham, Hamsasoham. And then Kelati Pindande. So, who is Kelati Pindande? Andathula ulladhu pindathula, pindathula ulladhu. Macrocosm and microcosm are one and the same. And within this cosmic level, the cosmos is mere inert. And in this cosmos, the Atma Kelati, it dances. The Atma frees. Atma Kridaha, Atma Rati Kriyavan, as they said in the Chandogya 7th. So, Kelati Pindande. And what is this Hamsa Soham? We can find, if you look at the Panini's Dhatu Vritti or Madhaviya Dhatu Vritti, Han Himsa Gatyoho. Han Himsa, Hanti kills. But Gatyartha is nowhere used. Hamsaha means Jiva, who is a transmigrating soul. or who is one who is going about in all the three stages, Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, that is called Hamsa. Because the Jiva is moving about, that Jiva is called Hamsa, and that comes from the root Hanu. And now, the depth of meaning, that is for Manana, it is called Hamsa Gayatri Sahaja Nishta. What is Hamsa? When we are inhaling, that represents Ham. And when we are exhaling, that becomes Sa. Because exhaling, there is no Nada. In the exhaling, there is only hissing sound. In the inhaling, there is Anuswara. So that becomes Hamsaha. So the inhaling and exhaling itself, we should feel Soham. That is, it is Atman. Because what is Prana? In the Prashnopanishad, Prana is Saha Yasmin va pratishthite aham pratishthitasam, yasmin va utkrante aham utkrantasyam iti sab pranam asrajat. Why prana? What is prana? Because if Atman is the knower and Atman cannot be known at all. So if the body were to be Atman, if the Atman were to be there in the body alone, then what will happen? Whether Atman is there or not, we will not be able to know whether Atman is there, because Atman is beyond knowledge. It is beyond our what is called grasp. So we will not be able to know whether Atman is there or not. So now what happens? When Atman is there, there should be a clue that Atman is there very much in the body and the Atman is activating the body. And Atman has left, then the body is what is called now actionless. Now, if the Atman cannot be, if there is no clue, even if the Atman were to be there, the body will be actionless, and even Atman is left, the body will be actionless. So there won't be any clue for us to know whether Atman is there or not. Hence, in order to give us a clue, Atman has introduced Prana as the pilot. So Pranan acts as the pilot for Atman, and the Pranan, if the Pranan is there, then we can know Atman is there very much, and the Pranan is left, the Atman has left. So on the Pranan, because it is representing the pilot of Atman, it is a pilot of Atman, we have to know the existence of the Prana and the movement of the Prana for the movement of Atman. So that should be very natural, and that we should not think for our own self that we have to take for the Atman's existence. So that becomes Hamsaha. So that becomes, that's Pranan's movement, observing naturally, that is not involving ourselves with anything else. So the observance of that is considered to be, it is not a separate japa. It is just because whether we live, automatically the living involves prana, and the prana itself should become Sagaja Dhyana, and that Sagaja Dhyana that does not involve any specific special japas, etc. Hence it is a japa-less japa, a meditation-less meditation, that becomes ajapa. So it is called ajapa Gayatri, because Gayatri is the most important mantra, and all the mantras are called Gayatri, Gayantam Trayate, etc. Hence what happened? It becomes an ajapa Gayatri. So ajapa Gayatri is considered to be Hamsa Gayatri also, and one who is immersed in it, he is called Paramahamsa. As you have got Paramaikantis in Visishtadvaita, the Paramahamsa is considered to be such a supreme person, and that is symbolized by Hamsa, the royal swan, which is all white and which does not stay in the muddy waters during rainy season. It moves to the Mansarovar, as they say. It is a mythical bird, and the mythical bird, because of its cleanliness, because of its what is called desire for the such clean surroundings, it is considered to be the pure soul is symbolized by the Hamsa. And there is another mantra also. In fact, Rigvedis and some people, they use this particular mantra for Argya, Hagumsassu Chishadvasunum Parichasat, like that. Hagumsat, that is Hamsa, Hamsasat, Suchishat, that is the Hamsa, which is Suchi and all those things, which is the nature of existence, everything. So that is considered to be Hamsa Gayatri, that is the Hamsa. And in the Kelati Pindande, he has specialized, he has emphasized on this particular thing, on the thing of what is called this Hamsa, and he describes this Hamsa as the important, what is called the mantra, important, and he gives in the present aspect, that is in the first Kandi, he speaks of that particular Hamsa. So he speaks of it. Hamsasoham, 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 Sohamiti, Paramatmaham, Paripurnoham, Brahmaivaham, Aham Brahmeti. So nothing but there is Aham Brahma only that is presented in this particular thing. In another character, in another Kirtana, Sthirata Nahi, in that he says, Tapatraya Sagara Magnanam, Darpa Ahankara Vilagnanam, Paramahamsa Yoha Vikanganam, Sthirata Nahi, Manasa Sthirata Nahi. Here, mind, it is another song, it is also for a Manasa. That is, Tapatraya Sagara Magnanam. Tapatraya, that is those who are suffering within, those who are identifying themselves with all the things, all that me and mine, I and mine. Those who are what is called identifying Tapatraya, Sagara Magna. They have fallen into the ocean. They have what is called immersed in that ocean. It will be very difficult to get out and then what is called to swim across. And Darpa, Ahankara, Vilagna, and they are bound by the albatross of Darpa and Ahankara. And Paramahamsa Yoga Viruddhanam. And even though there are Paramahamsas around them to guide them, yet they don't understand. Say, for example, it is that is why he uses the word Viruddha. When somebody has fallen into the water and drowning, and if somebody is extending his hand to save him, then what happens? It will become, as I used a wrong word. What is called, even the saving person will be pulled into the water. The other person will not be able to help, what is called to get helped. The drowning person may not allow the other person to help him. He will pull the saving person also into the water. Like that, Paramahamsa Yoga Viruddhanam, the Tapatraya Sagara Magna, they will be acting in what is called wrong way, in a different way or opposite way of the Tapatraya, of the Paramahamsas. So for them, Sthirata Nahi, Re Manasa, oh mind, you can never be stable, you can never be free, always you will be flimsy, always you will be moving around, you will be suffering. And there are two or few more, just 2 or 3 other songs. I mean, he has taken many songs, but I have taken some 2 or 3. That is Brahmaivaham and then Ananda Purnoham. In the Brahmaivaham Kila, I have become Brahman. Guru Kipaya Chinmaya Bodhananda Ganam Tad Brahmaivaham. I have become Brahmaivaham, that is, I have become Brahman. Guru Kripaya, by the grace of the Guru, and this Guru Kripaya becomes an important thing because Guru Anugrahenaiva Puman Purna Prajayate. With the grace of Guru, a person becomes complete, perfect. He is able to realize that is Acharyena Prapta Vidya Sadhishtam Prapat. The Vidya is able to give its effect only if it has come from Acharya. So the important thing is the first, the Siddhanta Lesa Sangraha, the first is Apurva Vidhi and the Nema Vidhi. Why these particular Vidhis are emphasized there? This Veda has to be studied only through Acharya. They have to come through a realized soul. Acharyena Vidita Vidya Sadhishtam Prapate. An idea got from a teacher alone alone can become what is called capable of bearing the fruit, and independently, individually, it cannot. That's why in Gita also, Ascharyavat Tadati Katataiva Chanyaha. Even the teacher is rare, Ascharyavat Pasyati Kaschidenam, and the student also is rare. So Ascharyovatta Kusalodisya Labdha, Kathopanishad also. So what is called the teacher becomes very important. Without the teacher, that is anyone who is taking it as a self-study, Swayam Sambodha, that is sitting under what is called for self-effort, that's not considered to be fruitful, or that will not bear fruit. So the fruit has to come only through the teacher, only with the help of the teacher. That becomes very important, and hence he says that is the first chapter, that is how Vedas should be studied, how Vedas should be learnt, how this particular knowledge should be obtained. And even when there is, that is even Manikavachikar and all those people, we find the Kurunda Maratadila in Guruvai Kandene, like that. So now God comes as Guru, and then he just what is called makes the student realize to one. And now Brahmaivaham, in that Kirtana, Brahmaivaham kila Sadguru Kripaya Brahmaivaham, that is the refrain. So even though there are a few kannis, that is 8 charanas are there, and these important Ananda Purna Bodhaham, Brahmaivaham, etc. have got more kannis, and they are long ones. That is Kelati Vanamali or Pibare Ramarasam, or these things. These are smaller kirtanas, simpler kirtanas, because they are for bhakti, and then we have to concentrate on it. But when it comes what is called Vedanta kirtanas, in those kirtanas, the kannis are very long. Not only they are long, they are very complicated. Each charana has got 3 or more words, and they are compound words also. But there the Sadguru Kripa also is emphasized. Brahmaivaham kila Sadguru Kripaya Brahmaivaham. So the Guru Kripa, he just takes it as a refrain. Swaprakasa Sivam Advayam Abhayam Brahmaivaham. There also says Brahma is Swaprakasa, that is Guru is Sadguru is Brahman himself. That is, there is no difference between Ishvara Guru Atmeti. So Ishvara Guru Atma, everything is one. So Ishvara and Guru, Yasya Deve Parabhaktihi Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau. Tasyaite Katita Hyartaha. All the Vedantic ideas shine to him who treats his Guru also as verily a God, who does not differentiate between God and Guru. For him alone, this Vedanta will become meaningful. He says, Swaprakasa Shivam Advayam Abhayam Brahmaivaham Kila. He says, he is Satyasrami and he is Avadhuta. So Sarvam Brahmamayam. In that particular thing, he is, there is no Pakshapata, etc. Because he is an Atyasrami. There is the famous Sarvam Brahmamayam Rere Sarvam Brahmamayam. Kim Vachaniyam, Kim Avachaniyam. There is no restriction, Allah. That is, the Shuka also gives one Sukashtakam. Nistraigunya Pati Vicharatam Ko Vidhi Ko Nishedaha. One who is moving about in the path of transcendental, that is one which transcended, a path which transcended all the 3 gunas. One who is transgressing the 3 gunas and going above. For him, what can be a prescription and proscription can be there. The same idea. Kim Vachaniyam, Kim Avachaniyam. What is fit for him to say and what is unfit for him. Kim Rachaniyam, Kim Arachaniyam, Kim Bhajaniyam, Kim Abhajaniyam, Kim Pataniyam, Kim Apataniyam, Kim Bodhavyam, Kim Abodhavyam, Kim Bhoktavyam, Kim Abhoktavyam. So this may not be what is called fit into a practitioner, but he has become a realized soul. He transcended everything. Hence he says, Sarvatra Sada Hamsadhyanam Kartavyam. He is not bound by his bodily consciousness. He does not feel what is called the starving and all those things. Hence, say it is famous that about they saying about Vaishampayana. Once Vaishampayana was very thirsty. No water was available. And he was moving about with his Sishyas. Somebody was selling toddy. And Vaishampayana just what is called showed his cupped hands and took some toddy and then drank it. And then Sishyas were saying, that is Surana, that is these things should not be drunk. How our teacher is giving instruction, he is taking, but maybe the instructions are Parabhadesha Panditim, like that the disciples were whispering. And of course, it fell into the ears of the Guru also, but he did not say anything. All they were moving about in hot, what is called sun. And all the people were hungry, and the students were running hither and thither whether some water is available. And when they were what is called getting some water, the teacher found there is iron smith smelting the iron, very red hot iron, and even he could not what is called handle it. He is handling it with a long wooden handle, and he just as he extended his study shop, his hands, he extended his the cupped hand and took some of the what is called the molten iron, and then he drank it to quench his thirst. Then the students realized what the power of his teacher. So these things don't what is called bother him, because he realized his soul, and then there is no I, mine, etc. It's the bodily needs. Whatever is available, because body is the inert matter. Whatever is given, the body will be satisfied with it. Body is not going to be influenced. So Sarvatra Sada Hamsadhyanam Kartavyam Mukti Nidanam. Bo Mukti Nidanam. So what is the cause of Mukti? Namely Hamsadhyana. That alone must be followed. And then in another Kirtana, Tadvat Jivatvam Brahmani Tadvat Jivatvam. Here he gives all the examples normally given in Advaita. That is the examples for Maya, examples for Mithya Adhyasa. Yadvattoyam Yadvattoye Chandradvitvam. As the moon, what is called reflects, a moon is seen in its reflection as two, and the child may misunderstand it as two moons. Yadvat mukure pratibimbatvam, as there is a reflection in mirror. Sthano yadvan nararupatvam, as the stump is being mistaken for a human being. Bhanukare yadvat toyatvam, in the rays of the sun, the mirage. Shuktau yadvat rajatamayatvam, as the nacre is mistaken for silver. Rajjau yadvat panidekatvam, the rope is mistaken for servant. Paramahamsa gurunadvaya vidya bhanita vikrita vidya. As long as the avidya is not, what is called, sped away with the grace of the Paramaguru, the body will be mistaken for Atman. And there is Sadananda Purnoham. There he says, Paramasivendra Sri Guru Soma Samudita Niravadi Nirvana Sukhasakaroham. That is Paramasivendra, his teacher Paramasivendra is the Guru, and he is the Soma, the moon, and at his rise, the ocean, Prabodha Chandra. So Paramasiva is Prabodha Chandra. At the Prabodha Chandrodaya, the ocean of Ananda is bubbles. So the ocean of Ananda, that is me, I am able to bubble, I am able to realize myself. So this sort of Paramasiva is brought in there is two Kirtanas, Ananda Purnoham. In both the Kirtanas, he refers to his teacher Paramasiva, and with his grace he has realized his soul. And just I give one example. Sakshi Chinmatra Gatroham Parama Moksha Sakshan Madhyadipoham Pakshapatadi Duroham Anavadika Sukasagaroham. This is one charana. Like that, there are 8 charanas. In this way, he is explaining Thira Parasivendra Sri Guru Bodhitoham. So I have been instructed by my Guru Paramasivendra and have realized myself. In this way, he has not only written Sastraic works, but he has written also many Kirtanas which can be sung as Adi Shankara. As Adi Shankara has written Govindashtaka, Gopalashtaka, and Ganesha Pancharatna, etc. So many Kirtanas which have Vedantic ideas, which have Bhakti ideas, which have music in them, and helpful even to the children to learn to sing easily and thereby develop Bhakti. So also Sadasivendra has written so many Kirtanas, simpler works for Manana and Nididhyasana, not only for Sravana, for Manana and Nididhyasana, and it is not very far away, as late as about 200 years ago, and he lived, and it is said he lived a full Vedic span of about 100 years and more, and he helped, and not only by his miracles, he helped so many people and brought them around for this Vedic path. And such is the greatness of Sadasivendra. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to think about Sadasivendra's Kirtanas and Sadasivendra's life, and thereby at least what is called Swamati Vimalataye Kshantumarhanti Santaha. Thank you.
Over to Dr. Kameshwari. Excellent lecture, Professor Srinivasan. Really good. Excellent. We enjoyed.
Thank you, Professor Srinivasan. It was wonderful. The way he has composed these kirtanas so simply, but the idea is very, very deep, and that had been brought to the fore of our. Do you hear me? Can I continue?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, your video is not visible.
I have not put on the video. Sorry, I have not put on the video. Now on the. Put on the video. There's an echo. I don't know why.
We can see.
There's an echo. See.
Yes, ma'am.
There is still some echo.
No.
Hello?
Yes. No. Okay.
There are two IDs in your name, ma'am. They are logged in twice. That is why there is an echo.
What happened?
Ma'am, you're audible, ma'am. Hello?
Sir, great one, sir.
Dr. Ramana Devi.
Sir, just 2 minutes, sir.
Because people will be leaving just for vote of
sir.
thanks.
Yes,
We are
sir.
waiting
Yes,
for a
sir.
long time.
Yes, sir. Okay, ma'am has logged out.
Hello.
Yes. You
Am
are
I
audible.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Dr. Srinivasan.
Okay.
I think I said everything before all these confusions came. Anyway, I will repeat them. Thank you. The Kirtanas were wonderful and very simple also. As you said, they could be memorized and then they could be thought of. Nididhyasana could be done, contemplated on, so that it makes it easy for people to understand the principles of Advaita, understand them better than really going through the Advaita text for like people like me who find it very difficult to digest the Advaita views. These songs are really wonderful. Thank you very much for bringing them to the fore. Professor had brought the life history of Sadasivendra, his guru and other people, and everything in a nutshell for us within 1 hour. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. And we will disperse for today's program will be closed now. We'll disperse and meet in another program probably at the end of this month on P.S. Subramania Shastri Endowment. Thank you all for having made it possible to join us. Thank you.
Please thank the endowment.
Yeah, endowment maker, Dr. Mr. Venkat
Narsimhachari.
endowment. I thank him very much and also the family members who have made it possible. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Srinivasan. Excellent lecture.
Thank you.
We will catch up later.
Yeah, we'll close now. So many echoes are going on.
Enna Balu?